Hey, thanks for making it to Veterans Info tab. Glad you made it today. Today I wanted to talk to you about the claim process and just kind of my view, kind of overview of kind of start to finish and some kind of tips along the way. So if you are new to filing a claim or you've not had very good success in the past, this video is good for you. And actually, even if you do, I mean, there's always a nugget somewhere, right? There might be something that you might hear a little bit differently that may help you, and it will help you relay that information to other veterans, which was really the purpose of putting out all these videos, is to get this information into the hands of those that need it. How do we do that collectively? Hit that thumbs up, subscribe, share with a friend, all that good stuff. Throw a comment in, and it will help to generate that momentum and get it into the hands of more of us veterans. So, brothers and sisters out there, we have 16.5 million veterans in the U.S. and sadly, more than about 75% or so are not receiving VA compensation or pension. So there's a lot of us out there in need and would probably qualify for something. I am in no way saying everybody's 100% rated. What I'm saying is most people would actually qualify for something in the terms of a 0%, a 10%, something out there, which would then give them access to the VA healthcare system and so forth. So with that, let's get into it. If you're thinking about filing a claim, the absolute first thing you need to do, as soon as you think, I might file a claim, I might think about doing that, right? No matter what your mindset was before, right? It could have been, I'm fine, I rubbed some dirt on it, whatever, it's part of getting older, no big deal. But finally, you've heard enough things to where maybe you're thinking about actually filing a claim. As soon as you have that thought, you need to file what is called an intent to file, ITF. You can Google search the form. I'll put the information in the description below. Intent to file. What that's going to do for you is preserve the effective date in the event that you actually do file a claim within the next 12 months. So the intent to file buys you a 12-month block of time to get your act together, right? Go get all the information you need, get all your stuff together, make sure the T's are crossed, I's are dotted, all that good stuff before you actually file your claim. Then what's going to happen is now you've done that. It's preserved. You have 12 months to do it. Now you develop that claim like I said. You're getting all your doctor's information. The three things for a successful claim, at the end of the day, loosely, there's always, there's 1,000 different ways that you can explain this, and it really is a situational thing. So, but the general overview of it would be you need to have a block of time of service, okay? You need to have a diagnosed condition, that's number 2, right? Self-diagnosing doesn't mean anything. You may know you have migraines. You may know you have gastro problems. You have GERD and bad heartburn. You may know that you have a lumbar strain and you probably got some arthritis. You may know you have insomnia. None of that means anything unless you are actually diagnosed by a medical provider. So go get diagnosed, okay, if you don't already have one. Okay, diagnosis, number 2. Number 3 is what they call a nexus. You've probably heard it 1,000 times. If you're watching my video, you watch other videos and you'll see nexus, right? Nexus. So a nexus is a link. You're connecting that diagnosed condition to your time in service in some way, shape, or fashion, right? Something caused it to you. It just showed up. You started getting heartburn. You started getting migraines. Don't know why. You had some sort of traumatic event. Maybe a Humvee rolled over and you damaged yourself, and now you have some problems and you got some arthritis built up in there, and you got a bad leg, whatever, right? So you have a nexus linking that condition to your time in service, okay? You're linking it, you're showing that it started during your time in service. There's caveats to that, right? So you could have had a condition that you got a waiver on that you had before service that got worse during service, aggravated, right? So the nexus would be, show me that condition got worse, right? Show me that it is aggravated somehow, right? Show me how that happened. Or it could be a presumptive, in which case a nexus is not needed. So when you hear nexus, a lot of people will confuse nexus with Nexus Letter. Nexus letter is a letter that establishes your nexus. Okay, so the Nexus letter is helping you to achieve that nexus. So in other words, I served in the military, I got out, then 5 years later, I finally went to the doctor for my migraines, right? And I never documented them when I was in. So I have nothing in my medical records, my service treatment records, nothing talking about migraine headaches, nothing. I didn't even check the box that said headaches, right? So I have nothing in my medical file. But I had migraines. I know I had migraines during my time in service. So how do I prove the nexus? How do I establish that link between my now 5 year later diagnosed migraines to my time in service, my block of time? Well, you can talk to your doctor, and when you're talking to your doctor to get that diagnosis, the doctor's most likely going to ask you, so how long have you been having migraines? And you're going to say, ever since I was in, about 2 years into my time in the branch of service that I was in, right? So now, whatever year that was, right? So now you have the doctor's notating, okay, you've had migraines for this long, which is putting it in your time in service. Now you could ask the doctor, hey, doctor, can I get a Nexus letter from you? Basically, and you can even draft up an example of what you're looking for them to understand what you need. They will put that on their letterhead and they will sign it, ideally. And essentially, it's going to say that, with whatever rationale and whatever, but basically that, veteran X, patient of mine for however long, diagnosed migraines, blah, 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 prescribed whatever for the migraines, and, the date of onset of these migraines is this time frame or this year, and it's in my medical opinion that they are at least as likely as not to have, manifested or occurred or as a result of his time in service or her time in service, and yada, 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 and that's it. Now, the at least likely is equal, so it's not good or bad, so it's equiposed evidence, and if evidence is equal on both sides, the VA is supposed to rule in your favor. So what that does is it takes the pressure off the doctor to say, without a doubt, these migraines are as a result of his service or whatever the condition is. So it takes the pressure off if they have a problem saying more than likely or undoubtedly or whatever the words are that you would prefer for them to use. If they have a little pushback on that, well, I can't say that because I don't really know if it's 100% because of that. You can accept as likely as not, or at least as likely as not, to have occurred, manifested, whatever the words are that you want to use. So that is a Nexus letter that is now a medical opinion stating that your condition manifested during your time in service, creating that nexus. Okay. You can also get buddy statements, which help you to establish that nexus. A buddy statement is simply somebody that you served with, or even a spouse, or somebody who knew you, a roommate, whatever, who knew you during your time in service that saw you experiencing the symptoms of whatever condition you have. Then they could write the letter basically attesting to that. You can write your own letter attesting to the fact that they started then. You just took over-the-counter medications. You never documented anything. You thought it was normal, whatever. Got it from the medic, got it from the corpsman, all that good stuff. Hands full of Motrin, everybody knows it, and move on. So you can do all that to help establish your nexus. So that nexus was that third piece. Very important. Now you file your claim. You got all your pieces in a row. You file your claim. It goes to the VBA, the Veterans Benefits Administration. In there, it will go through the process. Eventually, what will happen will be you will get a notification for a C&P exam. That compensation and pension C&P exam is very important. Okay, if you didn't establish it all up front in your medical records, right, they're really going to lean heavy on this C&P exam to decide what rating you should get. For example, migraines could be 10, 30, 50%. Bad heartburn, GERD, could be rated up to 60%. So I think it's a 10, 30, and 60. So where do you fall? right? If you just are providing information saying that you have the diagnosed condition and it has a nexus and all that good stuff and everything's there, cool, you're going to get granted, but at what rating? This is where you have to do your homework. And quite frankly, it helps even if you do it ahead of time and have those discussions with your doctor, but it's not the end of the world if you don't. At the C&P exam, you need to make sure that you are on point with the information that you're giving the C&P examiner. This information is found in the schedule of ratings from the VA. It will have every single condition listed, and in there you will find your diagnosed condition, and then it will say basically, whatever, migraines. If you experience this, it's a 50% rating. If you experience this, then it's a 30%. If you experience this, then it's a 10%, right? So you read it, you're the patient, you know what your signs and symptoms are. So read it, and when you see where you land, then you know what rating you should be, and you will know what you need to say and articulate at the C&P exam. Very important, because if you miss a word or two, you could go from a 50% rating to a 30. Dramatic, okay? It could cost you the difference between, it could be a huge rating swing, right? And in some cases, it can cost you that 100% rating because you didn't articulate it correctly in the words that the VA wants to see, okay? Now, one example with the migraines, just because I mentioned it, is there has to be, in order to get 50%, an economic kind of issue with, I can't remember the exact words because I don't have it in front of me, but basically that it is affecting your ability to earn, okay? So if you're working and you're salaried, my question to you is, if you have severe migraines, okay, you're getting migraines, in my opinion, right? And this is just my opinion, because I get migraines, and there'll be times where I get migraines probably at least once or twice a week, and the residual effects, they'll be dramatic for like 8 hours, and then it'll be kind of residual for like a day, where it's just still kind of just foggy and not feeling that great in the head, but really bad for a good 5 to 8 hours. So you could be a salaried employee. So my question is that if you have a severe migraine episode, and they're frequent, would you say that it affects your income if your income doesn't change? Well, if you're taking time off work, okay, now you're losing your paid time off. Then you exhaust that. Then you got to take non-paid time off. Or let's say that your normal 8-hour day now turned into a 18-hour day because you had to make up on all the work because you had this migraine and you were trying to suffer through it, and you're kind of looking out of one eye at the computer. I don't know if everybody has this or not, but I get like these like ocular things going on where it's like little blind spots when a migraine comes up. So it's like these little floaty circle-y things that are just moving around, and it creates little blurry spots that I can't see. So I'll be looking at a computer and typing or whatever and trying to read things, and it's like I just get like little spots and kind of gotta move my head around, and everything takes longer. So a normal 8-hour day now takes you twice as long. Is that costing you money? Well, I kind of think so, because now you've taken time away from your family, you've taken time away from everything in order to get your job done, and now it took you twice as long because of the migraine, so you were actually in effect paid half time for that time period. So just a way to think about it, look at it. If you're taking non-paid time off, absolutely, that's costing you money. So you got to think about it in that sort of context. Now, once you have all of that stuff established, you have your C&P exams completed, then usually within a month or two, the VA will come with their rating decision. When they send back that rating decision, now you're going to have a snapshot of all of your ratings. So if you filed for 7 things and they denied 2 and they approved 5, and of those 5, 1 was a 0 and the others were what you thought they were going to be, whatever. Now you have a decision to make. Do I want to appeal anything in this decision? And yes, you can. Let's say you don't agree with a rating decision. If you don't agree with that rating decision, you can now file an appeal on that rating decision. It doesn't have to just be a denial. Okay, let's say you threw something against the wall and you weren't sure if it was going to stick or not. You gave them everything you got. They denied it, and you're like, I kind of thought that was going to get denied. Let it go. You don't have to keep fighting it if you don't think you can win it. But let's say that you got a 0% and you read the schedule of ratings and you saw that you should be a 20%. File an appeal on that you disagree with the rating that they gave you for that condition. I disagree with the 0, and I feel as though it should be a 20. Then go back, develop all your additional evidence if you think you need it. So there's 2 routes you can go at that point. Yeah, well, there's 3. With your appeal, you can either do a higher level review if you believe you filed everything you needed for that rating and they just missed it. You can have a higher level person look at it. You could file a supplemental claim, which is I'm going to give you additional evidence in my favor, and then I want you to review that and make your decision. Or forget you guys, I'm going to go to the board and have a veterans law judge look at it and make a decision. So you have those options, right? So, and then once you do that, then they come back, and then hopefully you got it squared away at that point. If you did a higher level review or a supplemental claim, and they come back with a less than desirable decision, then you can push it to the board at that point. So you definitely have options. You want to stay within your time frames to preserve that effective date. Any decisions that are made through the appeal process that are in your favor that warrant a higher payment will then be retroactive back to your effective date. So very, very important that you stay within the time frames. Veterans are notorious at getting irritated and mad and throwing their hands up and walking away and then coming back a few years later to re-engage. Don't do that. You will lose your effective date and you will start from square one. You're not going to lose out on trying to get the claim done, but you're going to lose out on the back pay piece. So very important information. So I know this was extremely long. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much. I'll cut it here. And hey, remember, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong.